Okay, today is the 2nd of August, 2010. Now we come to Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 35, Culasaccaka Sutta, the shorter discourse to Saccaka. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Vesali in the great wood in the hall with the peaked roof. Now on that occasion Saccaka, the Niganta's son, was staying at Vesali, a debater and a clever speaker, regarded by many as a saint. He was making this statement before the Vesali assembly: I see no recluse or Brahmin, the head of an order, the head of a group, the teacher of a group, even one claiming to be Arahant Sammasambuddha, who would not shake, shiver and tremble and sweat under the armpits if he were to engage in debate with me. Even if I were to engage a senseless pose in debate, it would shake, shiver and tremble if it were to engage in debate with me. So what shall I say of a human being? Then when it was morning, the Venerable Assaji dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Vesali for alms. As Saccaka, the Niganta's son, was walking and wandering for exercise in Vesali, he saw the Venerable Assaji coming in the distance, and went up to him and exchanged greetings with him. Let's stop here for a moment. So you can see this Saccaka Niganta Putta was a debater, very clever, very smart in debating, and also a big boaster. He said even if you were to engage a pose, even the pose also was shiver and tremble, whatnot. What more of a human being? And this Venerable Assaji is one of the 5 monks who were first enlightened. So Saccaka saw him, he came up to him, talked. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, stood at one side and said to him, Master Assaji, how does the recluse Gotama discipline his disciples, and how is the recluse Gotama's instruction usually presented to his disciples? And Venerable Assaji said, this is how the Blessed One disciplines his disciples, Agivesana, and this is how the Blessed One's instruction is usually presented to his disciples. Monks, material form or body is impermanent, feeling is impermanent, perception is impermanent, volition is impermanent, consciousness is impermanent. Monks, material form is not self, feeling is not self, perception is not self, volition is not self, consciousness is not self. All volitions are impermanent, all things are not self. Here, this one, if they say all formations are impermanent, but the word is sankhara, so I like to translate it as volitions are impermanent. All things are not self. That is how the Blessed One disciplines his disciples, and that is how the Blessed One's instruction is usually presented to his disciples. And Saccaka said, if this is what the recluse Gotama asserts, we hear indeed what is disagreeable. Perhaps sometime or other we might meet Master Gotama and have some conversation with him. Perhaps we might detach him from that evil view. Stop here for a moment. So, Venerable Assaji says, the Buddha's instruction is that the 5 aggregates are impermanent. The 5 aggregates are not self. All volitions are impermanent, and all things or dhammas are not self. Now at that time, 500 Lichavis had met together in an assembly hall for some business or other. Then Saccaka, the Niganta's son, went to them and said, come forth, good Lichavis, come forth. Today there will be some conversation between me and the recluse Gotama. If the recluse Gotama maintains before me what was maintained before me by one of his famous disciples, the monk named Assaji, then just as a strong man might seize a long-haired ram by the hair and drag him to and drag him fro and drag him round about, so in debate I will drag the recluse Gotama to and drag him fro and drag him round about, just as a strong brewer's workman might throw a big brewer's sieve into a deep water tank, and taking it by the corners, drag it to and drag it fro and drag it round about. So in debate, I will drag the recluse Gotama to and drag him fro and drag him round about. Just as a strong brewer's mixer might take a strainer by the corners and shake it down and shake it up and thump it about, so in debate I will shake the recluse Gotama down and shake him up and thump him about. And just as a 60-year-old elephant might plunge into a deep pond and enjoy playing the game of ham washing, so I shall enjoy playing the game of ham washing with the recluse Gotama. Come forth, good Lichavis, come forth. Today there will be some conversation between me and the recluse Gotama. Stop here for a moment. So you see this Bragat, he wants to debate with the Buddha, and he's so sure that he's going to win. He's telling everybody to come and witness. Thereupon some Lichavis said, how can the recluse Gotama refute Saccaka the Niganta's son's assertions? On the contrary, Saccaka the Niganta's son will refute the recluse Gotama's assertions. And some Lichavis said, who is Saccaka the Niganta's son that he could refute the Blessed One's assertions? On the contrary, the Blessed One will refute Saccaka the Niganta's son's assertions. Then Saccaka the Niganta's son went with 500 Lichavis to the hall with the peaked roof in the great wood. Now on that occasion, a number of monks were walking up and down in the open. Then Saccaka the Niganta's son went up to them and asked, where is Master Gotama staying now, sirs? We want to see Master Gotama. And they said, the Blessed One has entered the great wood Agivesana and is sitting at the root of a tree for the day's abiding. This, stop here for a moment. This Agivesana must be his clan. Sometimes they address the person by the clan name. Then Saccaka, the Niganta's son, together with a large following of Lichavis, entered the great wood and went to the Blessed One. He exchanged greetings with the Blessed One, and after this courteous and amiable talk was finished, sat down at one side. Some of the Lichavis paid homage to the Blessed One and sat down at one side. Some exchanged greetings with him, and when this courteous and amiable talk was finished, sat down at one side. Some extended their hands in reverential salutation towards the Blessed One and sat down at one side. Some pronounced their name and clan in the Blessed One's presence and sat down at one side. Some kept silent and sat down at one side. When Saccaka, the Niganta's son, had sat down, he said to the Blessed One, I would like to question Master Gotama on a certain point, if Master Gotama would grant me the favor of an answer to the question. Ask what you like, Agivesana. How does Master Gotama discipline his disciples, and how is Master Gotama's instruction usually presented to his disciples? This is how I discipline my disciples, Agivesana, and this is how my instruction is usually presented to my disciples. Monks, material form or body is impermanent. Feeling is impermanent. Perception is impermanent. Volition is impermanent. Consciousness is impermanent. Monks, material form or body is not self. Feeling is not self. Perception is not self. Volition is not self. Consciousness is not self. All volitions are impermanent. All things are not self. That is the way I discipline my disciples, and that is how my instruction is usually presented to my disciples. Stop here for a moment. There are several suttas where sometimes certain monk, certain arahant, he explains the Dhamma in a certain way to a lay person, and then this lay person, he asks the same question of the Buddha, and Buddha gives exactly the same reply. So just like here, one of the reasons could be either that the Buddha's teaching is quite standard, or he can read the mind of this fellow, and he knows exactly what his disciple said, so he says exactly the same thing. And then Saccaka said, a simile occurs to me, Master Gotama. Explain how it occurs to you, Agivesana, the Blessed One said. Just as when seeds and plants, whatever their kind, reach growth, increase and maturation, all do so in dependence upon the earth, based upon the earth. And just as when strenuous works, whatever their kind, are done, all are done in dependence upon the earth, based upon the earth. So too, Master Gotama, a person has material form as self, and based upon material form, he produces merit or demerit. A person has feeling as self, and based upon feeling, he produces merit or demerit. A person has perception as self, and based upon perception, he produces merit or demerit. A person has volition as self, and based upon volition, he produces merit or demerit. A person has consciousness as self, and based upon consciousness, he produces merit or demerit. And the Buddha said, Agivesana, are you not asserting thus? Material form is myself, feeling is myself, perception is myself, volition is myself, consciousness is myself. And he said, I assert thus, Master Gotama, material form is myself, feeling is myself, perception is myself, volition is myself, consciousness is myself. And so does this great multitude. And the Buddha said, what has this great multitude to do with you, Agivesana? Please confine yourself to your own assertion alone. And he said, then Master Gotama, I assert thus, material form is myself, feeling is myself, perception is myself, volition is myself, consciousness is myself. And Buddha said, in that case, Agivesana, I shall ask you a question in return. Answer it as you choose. What do you think, Agivesana? Would a head anointed noble king, for example, King Pasenadi of Kosala, or King Ajatasattu, Vadehi Putta of Magadha, exercise the power in his own realm to execute those who should be executed, to find those who should be fined, and to banish those who should be banished? And he said, Master Gotama, a head anointed noble king, for example, King Pasenadi of Kosala, or King Ajatasattu, Vadehi Putta of Magadha, would exercise the power in his own realm to execute those who should be executed, to find those who should be fined, and to banish those who should be banished. For even these oligarchic communities and societies, such as the Vajins and the Malyans, exercise the power in their own realm to execute those who should be executed, to find those who should be fined, and to banish those who should be banished. So all the more so should a head anointed noble king, such as King Pasenadi of Kosala, or King Ajatasattu Vadehi Putta of Magadha. He would exercise it, Master Gotama, and he would be worthy to exercise it. So here, the Buddha is setting him up into a trap. The Buddha is, since he says that the five aggregates, body, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness, is a self, then the Buddha asked him this question, whether a king, ruler of his own realm, would have the power to execute some people, to fine some people, and to banish some people. And he said they would definitely have the power and be worthy of it. Then the Buddha said, what do you think, Agivesana, when you say thus, material form or body is myself? Do you exercise any such power over that material form as to say, let my form be thus, let my form not be thus? When this was said, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, was silent. I stop here for a moment. So here you see, the Buddha first asked him whether a king of his own country would have total power, and he says yes. So if you say that material form or body is myself, then material form or body is yours. You should be able to have complete control over it. Whatever you want of the body, let my body be thus, let my body not be thus. You should be able to have that power to determine how your body should be like. But when he asked Saccaka didn't know how to reply, kept silent. A second time, the Blessed One asked the same question. And the second time, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, was silent. Then the Blessed One said to him, Agivesana, answer now. Now is not the time to be silent. If anyone, when asked a reasonable question up to the third time by the Tathagata, still does not answer, his head splits into 7 pieces there and then. Now on that occasion, a thunderbolt wielding spirit, holding an iron thunderbolt that burned, blazed and glowed, appeared in the air above Saccaka, the Niganta's son, thinking, If this Saccaka, the Niganta's son, when asked a reasonable question up to the third time by the Blessed One, still does not answer, I shall split his head into 7 pieces here and now. The Blessed One saw the thunderbolt wielding spirit, and so did Saccaka, the Niganta's son. Then Saccaka, the Niganta's son, was frightened, alarmed and terrified. Seeking his shelter, asylum and refuge in the Blessed One, he said, ask me, Master Gotama, I will answer. I'll stop here for a moment. So you see, the Buddha told him, if you don't answer, by the third time I ask a reasonable question, your head will split into 7 pieces. And suddenly this thunderbolt wielding spirit appeared above him, holding this thunderbolt, ready to smash him. And he got so frightened. So where this thunderbolt wielding spirit came from, it's not explained. The Buddha used his psychic power to create this, or this Deva as a protector of the Buddha. What do you think, Agivesana, when you say thus, material form is myself, do you exercise any such power over that material form as to say, let my form be thus, let my form not be thus? No, Master Gotama. Pay attention, Agivesana. Pay attention how you reply. What you said before does not agree with what you said afterwards, nor does what you said afterwards agree with what you said before. What do you think, Agivesana? When you say thus, feeling is myself, do you exercise any power over that feeling as to say, let my feeling be thus, let my feeling not be thus? No, Master Gotama. Pay attention, Agivesana. Pay attention how you reply. What you said before does not agree with what you said afterwards, nor does what you said afterwards agree with what you said before. What do you think, Agivesana, when you said thus, perception is myself, do you exercise any power over that perception as to say, let my perception be thus, let my perception not be thus? No, Master Gotama. Pay attention, Agivesana. Pay attention how you reply. What you said before does not agree with what you said afterwards, nor does what you said afterwards agree with what you said before. What do you think, Agivesana, when you say thus, volition is myself? Do you exercise any such power over volition so as to say, let my volition be thus, let my volition not be thus? No, Master Gotama. Pay attention, Agivesana. Pay attention how you reply. What you said before does not agree with what you said afterwards, nor does what you said afterwards agree with what you said before. What do you think, Agivesana, when you say thus, consciousness is myself? Do you exercise any such power over that consciousness as to say, let my consciousness be thus, let my consciousness not be thus? No, Master Gotama. Pay attention, Agivesana. Pay attention how you reply. What you said before does not agree with what you said afterwards, nor does what you said afterwards agree with what you said before. I stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says, you say the 5 aggregates is you, is yourself. Then you should have complete control over the 5 aggregates. But do you have? Then he says no. So the Buddha each time makes the point that what he said before is not what he's saying later. To let all the crowd of people see that he is contradicting himself. The Buddha said, what do you think, Agivesana? Is material form permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Master Gotama. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Master Gotama. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. No, Master Gotama. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is making him see that material form is impermanent and a source of suffering. So it is not fit to regard it as mine or I or myself, because if you do that, then you are taking what is impermanent and suffering to be yourself. So you are carrying a burden unnecessarily. What do you think, Agivesana? Is feeling permanent or impermanent? Similarly, perception, volition, consciousness and consciousness. And to all this is impermanent, Master Gotama. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Master Gotama. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. No, Master Gotama. So So he agrees that the five aggregates are not fit to be regarded as mine, I am, or myself. What do you think, Agivesana? When one adheres to suffering, resorts to suffering, owes to suffering, and regards what is suffering does, this is mine, this I am, this is myself. Could one ever fully understand suffering oneself, or abide with suffering utterly destroyed? How could one, Master Gotama? No, Master Gotama. What do you think, Agivesana? That being so, do you not adhere to suffering, resort to suffering, owe to suffering, and regard what is suffering does? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. How could I not, Master Gotama? Yes, Master Gotama. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying, what you take to be the self is suffering. So if you take it as yourself, then you are resorting to suffering, adhering to suffering, holding on to suffering. So in other words, is making it plain that Agivesana is a fool, taking what is suffering to be the self. And the Buddha said, it is as though a man needing hardwood, seeking hardwood, wandering in search of hardwood, were to take a sharp axe and enter the wood. There he would see a large plantain trunk, straight, young, and with no fruit but core. Stop here for a moment. This plantain plantain tree is the banana tree. Then he would cut it down at the root, cut off the crown, and unroll the leaf sheets. But as he went on unrolling the leaf sheets, he would never come even to any sapwood, let alone hardwood. So too, Agivesana, when you are pressed, questioned and cross-questioned by me about your own assertion, you turn out to be empty, vacant and mistaken. But it was you who made this statement before the Vesali assembly. I see no recluse or Brahmin, the head of an order, the head of a group, the teacher of a group, even one claiming to be Arahant Sammasambuddha, who would not shake, shiver and tremble and sweat under the armpits if he were to engage in debate with me. Even if I were to engage a senseless pose in debate, it would shake, shiver and tremble if it were to engage in debate with me. So what shall I say of a human being? Now there are drops of sweat on your forehead, and you have soaked through your upper robe and fallen to the ground. But there is no sweat on my body now. And the Blessed One uncovered his golden-colored body before the assembly. When this was said, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, sat silent, dismayed, with shoulders drooping, and head down, glum, without response. So here the Buddha, because the Buddha can read his mind, the Buddha said, you were boasting earlier that anyone that engages in debate with you would shake, tremble, and all this. But now I'm not shaking or trembling, I'm not sweating, but you are. Then Dumukha, the son of the Lichavis, seeing Saccaka, the Niganta's son, in such a condition, said to the Blessed One, a simile occurs to me, Master Gotama. Explain how it occurs to you, Dumukha. Suppose, Venerable Sir, not far from a village or town, there was a pond with a crab in it, and then a party of boys and girls went out from the town or village to the pond, went into the water and pulled the crab out of the water and put it on dry land. And whenever the crab extended a leg, they cut it off, broke it and smashed it with sticks and stones, so that the crab, with all its legs cut off, broken and smashed, would be unable to get back to the pond as before. So too, all Saccaka, the Niganta's son's contortions, writhings and vacillations have been cut off, broken and smashed by the Blessed One, and now he cannot get near the Blessed One again for the purpose of debate. When this was said, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, told him, wait, Dumukha, wait, we are not speaking with you here. Wait, we are speaking with Master Gotama. Stop here for a moment. So you see this fellow, even when he is shamed in front of this big crowd, his ego is showing up again. Then he said, let that talk of ours be, Master Gotama. Like that of ordinary recluses and Brahmins, it was mere prattle, I think. But in what way is a disciple of the recluse Gotama one who carries out his instruction, who responds to his advice, who has crossed beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gained intrepidity, and became independent of others in the teacher's dispensation. So in other words, he's asking how, in what way is disciple an Arya. And the Buddha said, here Agivesana, any kind of material form whatever, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a disciple of mine sees all material form as it actually is with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Any kind of feeling whatever, any kind of perception, volition, consciousness whatever, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A disciple of mine sees all the five aggregates as they actually are with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. It is in this way that a disciple of mine is one who carries out my instruction, who responds to my advice, who has crossed beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gain intrepidity, and become independent of others in the teacher's dispensation. So, stop here for a moment. So the Buddha is saying that a disciple of his will see with proper wisdom the five aggregates, whatever type of five aggregates is not mine, it's not I, it's not myself. Master Gautama, in what way is a monk an arahant, with taste destroyed, one who has lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached the true goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and is completely liberated through final knowledge? Here Agivesana, any kind of material form whatever, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a monk has seen all material form as it actually is with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. And through not clinging, he is liberated. Any kind of feeling, any kind of perception, volition, consciousness, whatever, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a monk has seen all the aggregates as they actually are with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. And through not clinging, he is liberated. It is in this way that a monk is an arahant, with taste destroyed, one who has lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached the true goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and is completely liberated through final knowledge. Stop here for a moment. So earlier the Buddha was describing an Arya, is one who sees the five aggregates, body, feeling, perception, volition and consciousness, as they actually are with proper wisdom. Thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Whereas the Arahant has also seen the five aggregates as this is not mine, I am not, this is not myself. And because of not clinging to them, he becomes liberated. Just gone the final step. And the Buddha continued. When a monk's mind is thus liberated, he possesses three unsurpassable qualities: unsurpassable vision, unsurpassable practice of the way, and unsurpassable deliverance. When a monk is thus liberated, he still honors, reveres, and venerates the Tathagata thus. The Blessed One is enlightened, and he teaches the Dhamma for the sake of enlightenment. The Blessed One is tamed, and he teaches the Dhamma for taming oneself. The Blessed One is at peace, and he teaches the Dhamma for the sake of peace. The Blessed One has crossed over, and he teaches the Dhamma for crossing over. The Blessed One has attained Nibbana, and he teaches the Dhamma for attaining Nibbana. When this was said, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, replied, Master Gautama, we were bold and impudent in thinking we could attack Master Gautama in debate. A man might attack a elephant and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. A man might attack a blazing mass of fire and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. A man might attack a terrible poisonous snake and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. We were bold and impudent in thinking we could attack Master Gautama in debate. Let the Blessed One, together with the Sangha of monks, consent to accept tomorrow's meal from me. The Blessed One consented in silence. Then, knowing that the Blessed One had consented, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, addressed the Lichavis. Hear me, Lichavis. The recluse Gotama, together with the Sangha of monks, has been invited by me for tomorrow's meal. You may bring to me whatever you think would be suitable for him. I'll stop here for a moment. So here, finally, Saccaka acknowledged that the Buddha is invincible. You cannot hope to win a debate with the Buddha. Then after that, he invited the Buddha and the monks for a meal. But he noticed here that he's asking the lay people to bring whatever food for him so that he can offer to them. Probably he has a lot of supporters. Then when the night had ended, the Lichavis brought 500 ceremonial dishes of milk rice as gifts of food. Then Saccaka, the Niganta's son, had good food of various kinds prepared in his own park, and had the time announced to the Blessed One. It is time, Master Gotama, the meal is ready. Then, it being morning, the Blessed One dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went with the Sangha of monks to the park of Saccaka, the Niganta's son, and sat down on the seat made ready. Then with his own hands, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, served and satisfied the Sangha of monks, headed by the Buddha with the various kinds of good food. When the Blessed One had eaten and had withdrawn his hand from the bowl, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, took a low seat, sat down at one side, and said to the Blessed One, Master Gotama, may the merit and the great meritorious fruits of this act of giving be for the happiness of the givers. And the Buddha said, Agivesana, whatever comes about from giving to a recipient such as yourself, one who is not free from lust, not free from hate, not free from delusion, that will be for the givers. And whatever comes about from giving to a recipient such as myself, one who is free from lust, free from hate, free from delusion, that will be for you. That's the end of the sutta. So this last part, the Buddha says that those people who gave to you, they will have the merit of giving to someone who still has lust, hatred and delusion. But you who made the offering to me, you will have the merit of giving to one freed of lust, hatred and delusion. In other words, your merit in giving to me is much more than the merit of the people who offered the food to you. So that's the end of the sutta. So this sutta, there's not so much Dhamma here, except that it's a bit comical. This great boaster coming to debate with the Buddha and thinking that he can shake the Buddha up and down and thump him about and all this thing. And in the end, he's shamed before this crowd of people.